Hello and welcome to Twin Talk. This is Angie and I'm here with Joy, and I guess we'll just get started. So Joy, let's see, we just got through doing a podcast just a few minutes ago. We did the how and the why, and now I think we're going to maybe have a little bit of a lighter podcast. The books will be a little bit less heavy subject matter, I guess you could say. So the book I am going to talk about is actually part of a series. And Joy, this is the first time you don't even know what I'm talking about. I've never even mentioned this to you before.
I don't even know what book she's doing.
So just a little backstory here. I was going back to work one day on my lunch hour, and the library is only like 2-3 blocks from where I work. And I looked in their parking lot, and they were having a sale. And they do this quite often when they're trying to just, I don't know, I guess so often they just go,
books.
They're just trying to go through and get new inventory and get rid of some old books. And they'll literally, like this last time, it was like a sack of book for $1. A sack of books for $1. It was awesome.
I bought some books one time. They were like 50 cents each or something like that.
Oh, the library is like such a rich source for us.
Yeah.
I'm telling you. So, unfortunately, though, a lot of the books they were getting rid of were like these, kind of like
going to be outdated or...
Well, I mean, it was just the genres. It was a lot of Harlequin romance type books, and I'm not interested in those. And of course, I'm always looking for the old classics, especially children's books. But anyway, I came across they had a set of books for sale. And I believe I got 6 or 7 of them, and they were called the Patchwork Mysteries.
Oh, I've heard of those.
Oh, you have?
Yes.
Okay.
Are they kind of like... what's Murder, She Wrote type stuff?
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that.
Yes,
because
they're called cozy mysteries.
Yeah, there's, and I don't know if I understand. I haven't done a lot of research, but I want to say so Hallmark has a series of mysteries called the Cozy series.
Yes.
And these are a branch of the Cozy series called the Patchwork Mysteries.
Oh, sure, I've heard of these.
Okay,
yes.
So and Hallmark, like I said, is the one who produces these.
And we love Hallmark.
Yeah, and I'm just so glad that you mentioned Murder, She Wrote, because I am a Murder, She Wrote geek or fan. I guess I'm a big geek because I love the Murder, She Wrote series. And for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Jessica is like an old lady.
Jessica Lansbury?
Angela Lansbury.
Oh, Angela Lansbury is her real name.
She plays Jessica, and I can't think of Jessica's last name, but she's like a widow, and she's like a sleuth, and she lives like somewhere in New England in this real, quaint little town.
She's like a what?
A sleuth.
A sleuth.
A sleuth. How's that how you say it? A sleuth. Okay.
I was trying to think what that was. I know what you're saying. A sleuth. Like a detective. Yes.
Pardon my accent.
That's okay.
Anyway, I used to watch Murder, She Wrote quite a bit, and I got made fun of, but...
Well,
excuse me.
You kept talking about how you're addicted and how much you watched them.
Yeah.
And so I forced myself to watch one.
Oh, no.
Right after we had that conversation, so it's probably been a year.
Oh, no.
And,
you couldn't get through it.
It was so campy, cheesy.
Because you know me, I love camp. I love campy. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing: this is where they went wrong, and all these shows do this. The whole thing that makes that show so great is everything happened around her little village, but then they started going off and doing shows like in other countries, and
I know,
they
it's like when Fonzie jumps the Shark Tank.
They were looking for material, and it just it totally changed the whole vibe of the show.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about when Fonzie jumps the shark, and I said that's when Happy Days died.
Yes, it's like Gilmore Girls. You and I love it because of the setting and their house. We love their houses in the downtown.
Yes,
if they ever moved the location of that show, it's not Gilmore Girls anymore. So
exactly.
Anyway, so let's just cut back to the book. So the Patchwork Mysteries it's kind of the same thing. It's about an older, and I don't think they ever give her age, but she's a grandma. Okay, and she's like the grandma sleuth.
Right.
Okay, and
that's has my dream is that when I'm a grandmother, if I ever get to be a grandmother,
oh, you want to go out and solve mysteries?
Yeah, why not? I want to be the detective grandma, not just laying around moaning and hurting all the time.
Right.
I want to be out there solving the mysteries.
Exactly. And she has, it's kind of, interesting because she has 2 granddaughters that she's with a lot, and they're like, one of their name was Amy, and I can't remember the other one's name, but they're like teenage girls.
Right. Do they help her solve these mysteries?
They get to be involved in some of the mysteries. And so anyway, like I said, it's a mystery series, and one of the things that drew me to the books was the covers. They're real quaint and cottagey. Right. As a matter of fact, I know our listeners can't see this, but I wanted you to see.
Right. You should post these.
I screenshotted a picture of a bunch of the covers for Joy to see, but they're just cute little quaint, cozy covers. So anyway, there's a total of, in this series, there were 27 novels published between 2010 and 2013. Okay, so the chief protagonist is a quilter by the name of Sarah Hart. She's an expert quilter who lives in Maple Hill, New England. So there's the setting. She puts her skills to work restoring quilts and making new ones. Sarah?
Okay, I have to stop you.
Okay.
Maple Hill.
Yes.
I think of maple trees.
Yes.
New England.
Yep.
Quilter.
Why do you think they call it the Cozy series?
You talk about cozy.
Yes.
Okay, sorry.
No.
You already have me. Keep going.
Trust me, they have every element of a cozy mystery that you want. Okay, so she is a master quilter. She restores quilts and she makes new ones. She is a Christian who uses her faith and natural curiosity to unravel century-old mysteries.
That's cool.
Okay, and so
century-old mysteries.
Yes, some of the mysteries.
That's cool.
Yes, and I'm going to talk about that in just a second. But over the course of the novels, she finds answers to many mysteries, including con artists, disappearances, murders, theft of quilts and antiques, and answers to ancient family histories, among others. And so, of course, the thing that really fascinated me was they do talk a lot about antiques. And so there's a lot of the old history of houses and things like that. And, of course, her being a quilter, she's very interested in antique quilts.
Right.
And so I read one of the books, and throughout the whole book, she would mention patterns of quilts. She would mention when they were probably actually made. And then she'd mention just the history of the quilt. So that part was interesting to me. Yeah.
And there was a Hallmark series that I watched for a while, and the lady owned an antique store. Matter of fact, I think it was Lori Loughlin was the actress.
Wow. Okay.
Before all the big
for the
scandal.
Drama. Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that. And here's why I love the show. I'm sorry I'm getting off track a little bit, but the reason I love the show is because she ran an antique store. And then she had a friend who was a real estate agent, so you're always getting to see these big, amazing houses. And that was what the first episode was about, was something about this house. I can't remember now, but it was in a quaint little, looked like a New England town. It had the antique store. It had the big, beautiful old houses. I love that show. And it might have been called Tea Light Mystery. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's something sounded ringing a bell for some
reason. But anyway,
I
want to go back and watch some of those because it's kind of like, to me, it's probably like Murder, She Wrote, but modern.
Yes. And that was one of my favorite experiences was when I went on that New England trip. We were in Connecticut, and we came across this big old Victorian house that was an antique store.
Cool.
And I'll never forget, it was around Halloween, and they had a huge black blow-up cat on the front lawn, and the cat was like a 2-story blow-up.
Wow.
So it was the biggest blow-up I've ever seen. It was this huge black cat in front of this, and it was just so cool. Anyway, so going back, the series was it's published by Post. I know I've already said that, but
no, I don't remember you saying that.
Oh, I didn't.
I do remember our grandma Pullen always had Guidepost. If you're
that's right.
If you're not familiar, if our listeners aren't familiar with that, it's a Christian publication, and
they were real small,
kind of like little devotionals or little Bible studies, and they always had inspirational stories.
But
I believe.
I'm glad you said that because I kept reading Guideposts, but for some reason that didn't click.
I just remember Grandma Paul always had them.
And you know what?
Around.
I never, ever, not one time did I pick up a Guidepost that it wasn't extremely interesting.
Very interesting.
They had the most interesting, and every story was inspiring. It was positive. It was all just something
almost like
feel
chicken
good
soup for the soul, but from a Christian perspective.
Yes, those Guideposts were awesome. I'm glad you mentioned that because that's a memory I'd completely forgotten. So yes, they're published by Guidepost, and they said that this series is one of the best selling series of the cozy mysteries. They said ever, like one of the best selling. Anyway, so like I said, it is set in an idyllic setting in New England, but basically just to they just have this theme of faith and hope throughout each of the books, and they have a belief that good will always triumph over evil. So you've always got that
cool.
Throughout the book. You're always looking at good's going to triumph over evil, and then they talk about how the power of faith and prayer is a constant theme in the novel. So just very After I read the book, and as I was reading the book, that there's one thought that kept going through my mind over and over. These are the sweetest, just sweet, simple, pure. They were just so pure. But I also kept thinking Joy would hate this book.
I don't know that I would hate it.
Well, I just kept thinking you would be saying, no, this is cheesy, because
yeah.
Sometimes when a book,
but sometimes it's refreshing to have a book that's pure and doesn't have a lot of language or darkness in it.
Yes,
it's just a break from evil.
Yeah,
from a lot of the stuff that's out there.
I guess just because I know you so well and because we talk about these things, but so many of the things they would say and do, it was like, it was so old fashioned and so cheesy. I don't know another word to say it. Yeah. So honestly, I'm
campy.
Yes,
cheesy,
it was campy. So it's funny because I love that it was so innocent, and I love that people are actually taking time to make these type of books. Yes, I'm so glad.
Because they're so rare.
They're very rare. So
I love the Little House books, and they're very pure and very innocent.
I guess what
maybe because this is fiction and that was totally true.
Yes, and I also just felt like they're good books, don't get me wrong, but I kept thinking, couldn't they have just been a little bit more clever?
Yeah.
Some of it was a little bit like...
maybe have a little more
depth. It was almost mundane in a way, but I did also read that the particular book I read, I saw someone say that they had read a bunch of them, and that was one of their least favorites. So it could be that I just kind of picked one of the...
What was the name of the one that you read?
So the one I read was called Threads of Truth.
Okay.
And anyway, so it was... basically, just to sum it up, you'll see when I say kind of cliche, but Sarah takes her 2 granddaughters with her, and she's going to go to a quilting conference, and she's going to be an instructor at this conference, and they go to a bed and breakfast in Connecticut or somewhere, I don't remember, and they get snowed in, and all of a sudden the caretaker of the inn goes missing. And they're all snowed in. They can't get out. There's no electricity. There's no phones.
The Shining-ish.
Yes. There's no phones. There's no electricity. And they find there's some blood stains on the carpet in the main room in the parlor. And they think it belongs to the man who's missing. So they're there for 3 days, snowed in, trying, and they don't know if it's one of the other bed and breakfast guests who did it. And they're all
kind of like Clue meets The Shining.
Yes,
I'm sure not nearly as sinister as The Shining,
but more Laura Ingalls innocence to it. Yes. It's very like your daughter could read this book. She's 8 or 9, and she would not get scared.
And I like that.
Yeah,
it's clean enough
they
that
do it in a way that it's not scary. It's not nothing. So anyway. So they're having to, just through the book, they're having to solve this problem. But it is kind of funny because they're all suspecting each other as to, no, you're the one that did something to Patrick. No, it was you. Okay. So I'm sorry.
Sorry, I hit pause. I had something I had to tell Angie, and so I got her off track. So you were just saying that Olivia could read this?
Yes.
Even as an 8-year-old, she could read this. There's nothing in there that would be offensive or inappropriate for a child.
Funny,
and I love that.
And what's funny is, how you and I will say, well, who would you recommend this book to? Well, it's kind of funny. I've never, ever recommended this to a certain group or what should I say, a demographic, but I would recommend this book to senior citizen women.
Yes, I can see that.
I think women, I'm just going to say anywhere probably from 55 to 60 on.
Or all, yeah.
I think would enjoy this book. I really do, because so many things are written from
people our age who are Christians and just want a break from secular stuff.
It's kind of like, have you ever, sometimes you say, I just want to kind of do some mindless reading?
Yes.
And I'm not trying to degrade the writers at all, because they're good writers. I mean, they're pretty good. But I'm just saying, if you just want something just to kind of that's freeing, and you don't have to think, it's not too deep, thought-provoking. Just something kind of
just
pass
easy,
the time.
pleasant, positive read.
Yes.
I'm curious, though, our mom, she turns 80 next month.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder what she would think of it, what she would have to say about it. I'm very curious. She can be very cynical sometimes.
Well, I think our mom would like it, but the last few times I've talked to her, every time I mention her reading, she's always just like, I don't have time, or or she's just real negative about reading, and I don't know, maybe.
Well, she always tells me she has piles of books and articles and magazines that I just haven't had time to read them.
Yeah, she always tells me she doesn't have time to read, and she hasn't read any of the books she owns.
Which is funny, because she's a 80-year-old widow. Now she does work in the yard a lot.
Yes.
She's always running errands, watching our kids. It's not like she's sitting around with nothing to do. She takes care of her house.
So about a month ago, she and I had a discussion, because she's always telling me I don't have time. Oh, I wish I had time to do this, or one of these days I'll get around to that. And I finally just pinned her down. I was like, Mom, you've been retired for how long? 30 years.
At least.
Yeah. I said, you've been retired for 30 years. I said, you don't have a job. You don't have hobbies. You don't go anywhere. I was like, why do you not have time? You always say you don't have time to do. I was like, if you're ever going to do something on a rainy day, this is it.
Yeah.
You know, and she's basically, this is what she told me. She said, well.
Yeah, I remember this conversation.
Okay, well, I guess I could tell her.
No, you can go ahead and tell. It's funny.
She basically said, well, I only have about 3 hours of the day that I feel good. Oh, yeah. And she said, so during that window because her back hurts her, she has restless legs, she has lots of health problems. She said, during those 3 hours, I get things done that I feel like have to be done. And then the rest of the day, she said, I'm hurting or I'm sleeping or I don't feel good. So I felt kind of bad because I'm always like, Mom, you always say you don't have time, but you do. But that made more sense when she told me that.
And she's always helping us out.
Yes, that's true.
Mom, if you ever listen to this podcast, thank you. She has helped us out so much with, I have, like, for example, Monday I have a dentist appointment. Who's going to watch Olivia? Mom. Tuesday I have professional development all day. Who's going to watch Olivia? Mom. She's always there when we need her. Thank you, Mom.
Can't tell you how many times luckily I don't live too far from her. I cannot tell you how many times I've come home and she's done a load of laundry. She's cleaned my kitchen. I mean, I'm like, what would I, and I've always told Corby and my kids, I don't know what I would do without my mom. I really don't. She has been so
This is turning into a Mother's Day tribute.
Oh, I know.
She does. She's a wonderful mother, and I hate that she hurts all the time, but she has done so much for our family.
Yes.
Thank you, Mom.
Yes, Mom. Okay, so the only other thing I was going to say, I just want to kind of read you a few of the book titles because they're just so cute.
Yeah.
So, Family Patterns, Muslin Mystery, Homespun Holidays, Threads of Truth, Secret and Stitches, Squared Away, and The Christmas Quilt. Joy's laughing.
Okay.
So,
it's cute.
Yes.
It's cute. I love it. I love it. I'm not.
So, but I will tell you this. I do think that maybe the book that I read wasn't one of the better ones. And these were all written by different authors. It's
not the same
Yeah, it's kind of like the Nancy Drew. Like, there might be one author who wrote 5 or 6, and there might be another author who only wrote 2 or 3.
Okay.
It's spread out among different authors. But I will tell you this, and honestly, I can't say because I've only read the one book. But when I was reading the descriptions of the other books, the summaries, there was 2 or 3 of them that I was like, man, that actually sounds really interesting. So one of them was a lady, she found a false wall in her basement, and then when they shoveled through it or they demolished it, she found a little secret room, and then she found an old quilt in the room, and they thought it was part of the Underground Railroad.
Oh, now that sounds very interesting.
And so she takes the quilt to Sarah, and so she can date it, and she's looking, so she can kind of put it in a period of time. And then there was another book. There was one of her family members. One of their grandparents had died mysteriously 100 years before, like a grandmother or great grandmother, and no one ever knew what happened to this person. And there's something about that. But what's interesting about this is, especially these women that love to quilt, I think they would find this enjoyable. But no matter what the story is, somehow they bring in quilts. Right. And they bring in just the art of quilts, and and they say not every book has it, but they said the majority of them do.
Thread through all the stories.
And that's what's so cute is there is a thread of talking about the quilts and the art of quilting. So when
that sounds and the book we're about to do in our next podcast, Blackbriar. One of the things that I love about it is it's an old ancient cottage, and there's a hidden door in the basement that leads to a tunnel. I've always been fascinated with secret passageways, hidden staircase, whatever, old houses, and I always said if I were wealthy, I would want like a hidden door to a secret passage and a library and all that good stuff.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, just to basically sum this up, Patchwork Mysteries, I forgot to do my rating. The book I read.
Oh yeah, we've been forgetting to do our ratings lately.
I know.
Did we do the Last of the Mohicans?
Yeah, I gave it a Mohican. Remember?
Oh, that's right. Because I said you should have done Mohawks.
So on this one here, the book I read, I hate to say this, but I would only give that book probably 2.5 patches.
Okay.
But honestly, I mean, I truly would recommend this for an older women,
females.
Especially,
and there were men who quilt too, so you never know.
Yeah, because it's funny because through the book you can see everything's from her perspective as an older woman, as a senior citizen.
Yes. Yeah. Also, I forgot to give a rating on the How and the Why.
Oh yes, you did.
So, man, I dropped the ball.
Gosh,
well, we'll just have to learn from our mistakes and not forget to do our ratings anymore. Yeah. Well, honestly, when you first started talking about it, I was like, oh no. But
I couldn't wait to see your reaction.
I know, but the more you talked about it, the more interested I got. Yes. And matter of fact, I don't know that I'm going to go read one of those books, but it makes me want to go watch one of those cozy mysteries on Hallmark Channel.
Yes.
And now that I'm out for the summer for school, not to rub it in. Two people have to work through the summer, but I may watch quite a bit of Hallmark mystery movies this summer. I love them. The cheesier the better sometimes.
Yeah, I think to me that's one of those just guilty pleasures, especially on a winter day, which we're midsummer now. But just to get you a cup of hot chocolate, and they even make shirts that say things like Hallmark. Give me a Hallmark and a cup of hot chocolate or whatever.
Yeah, I love the socks that on the bottom. If you can read this, I'm watching Hallmark. Shut up or something like that. I can't remember.
I love those. Yeah, but that's one of my favorite things to do is watch Hallmark movies on a cold day. So and this books, it kind of gives you that same feeling only in book form.
And one thing I will say about my husband Jeff, that I will brag on him. He will sit there and watch a cheesy Hallmark movie with me and not complain.
Wow.
I know a lot of people who won't even give him, but he'll sit there and watch it with me. And he's I love that about him. He'll be like, okay, we'll watch one of your chick flicks or one of your Hallmark or Lifetime. And this is funny too. I'm going to throw him under the bus here, but so many times I love true crime shows.
Oh, me too.
And he'll walk in and go, "Oh, what are you watching? These are stupid. Why are you watching this?" The last 2 times,
I thought he would like true crime.
No, he does not like watching the true, like 48 Hours. Dateline. I love all that stuff. Yeah. He'll come in if I'm watching something like that, and he'll be like, but he'll lay down by me if I'm in the bed or whatever. And guess what? He'll watch it for like 30 seconds to a minute, and he's hooked. Yes. And he finishes it out with me. Yep. So Jeff, you can deny it all you want, but if you actually give him a chance, I think he really likes them. Yeah.
We know.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's all I had. So I guess we're going to see you next time, and we are going to be discussing Joy's book. Is it Blackbriar? Blackbriar. And I'm actually looking forward to that because.
And I wonder if, as we talk about it, if maybe you have read it and just don't remember.
Yeah, and I honestly, when you said Blackbriar, I immediately remembered the book. I remembered that I knew for a fact you had read it, and I associate it with our teenage years. Yes. Like maybe you read it as a teenager and you owned the book.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah. So, but I just can't remember if I ever read it. So I'm curious to see what's about. To see if I remember.
Once we get off here, I'm going to show you the cover and see if that sparks.
I think I saw the cover a while ago.
Well, that's a new cover.
Oh, okay.
That's a newer published book.
What year was it published
1972.
Originally? Okay.
But I want to show you the original cover.
I know I'm getting into your podcast too prematurely, but was it a Hackett Library book?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. Well, we're getting ready to, as soon as we turn this off, we're going to be right back with our next podcast, even though you guys won't hear it till a week later. But we will see you next time on Twin Talk.